Honestly, don't even care if we blow the incense. Oh. All right, go ahead. I'm gonna get this. I'll be the reader.
You be the reader.
Talking about the prayers. You switch the mic.
Okay. Oh yeah.
All right, with that, Amaya, which means to stand. Sar, which means to turn. Panya Hakwadam, which means to face the east. And we're going to start with the Lord's Prayer in the Lashwan Kodash. Abanao. Shabbat Shemayah. Kodash. Hayah. Shemka. Yahweh. Malakaka. Taba'ah. Ratzaka. Hayah. Aisha. Barataza. Kawa. Hayah. Bashemayah. Adon Noah. Lakum. Kal. Yawam. Basalak now. Tabawak now. Kasalak now. Tabawaki now. Wala'ah. Tabiya'ai now. Banasaya 1. Abal. Hawashai now. Mayan. Right. Hayat. Laka. Hamalakwa. Waha'ala. Wahatapara. La'ai Aman. And what we said was, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Next up, we have the power prayer. Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Baruch Athalan Nawa, Haka, Larapa'ah, Kal Makala, Kal Marawak, Haka, Latahar, Hamatazarayim, Haka, Lahakwim, Hamathiam, Haka, Al Rakawa, Hatama Allah, Lagarashan, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, the water. Amen. Now, what we said in English was, Lord, in the name of Yahweh Shai, please give us the power. The power to heal. All manner of sickness. And all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the lepers. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. To cast them out. In the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you. So be it. Now we have the blessings prayer. Barakatah Yahweh. Wa Yahweh Shai. Wa Mayaka Allah. Wa Allahayim. Matazab Ya'ah. Alawap Yahanam. Ha Alawapiam. Ha Saranyam. Hakwatazayanyam. Hakayayaliam. Wa Ha'agwatiam. Yahweh. Ba'asham. Yahweh Shai. The water. Amen. Now what we said in English was, bless you, Yahweh. And Yahweh Shai. And Michael. And the angels. Commanding General Yohana. The generals. The captains. The officers. The troopers. And the sisters. Yahweh. In the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you. So be it. Now for the next prayer we have Psalm chapter 121. Asha, Ayanya, Al-Haharim, Ma'ayan, Yaba'ah, Azariah, Ma'ayim, Yahweh, Aisha, Shamayam, Wa'arataza, Al-Yathan, Lamawat, Ragalka, Al Yanawam,
Al Yanawam,
Shamarka,
Shamarka,
Hana,
Ana,
La'a,
La'a,
Yanawam,
Yanawam,
Wala'a,
Walala,
Ya Yashan,
Yashar,
Shawamar,
Shawamar,
Yasha'al,
Yashar,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Shamarka,
Shamarka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Tazalka,
Zalka,
Al Yad,
Al Yad,
Yamyanka,
Yamyamka,
Yawamam,
Yawamam,
Hashamash,
Hashma,
La'a,
La'a,
Yakaka,
Yakaka,
Wayara,
Wayara,
Bala Yala,
Bala Yala,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yashamarka,
Yashmarka,
Makal Rai,
Kara,
Yashamar,
Yashmar,
Athnapashka,
Atapashka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yashamar,
Yashmar,
Taza Athka,
Taza Atka,
Waba Wa'aka,
Wa'aka,
Mayata,
Ayata,
Wa'ai,
Wa'ai,
Iwalam.
Awalam.
Now in English, I will lift up my eyes into the hills,
I will lift up my eyes into the hills.
from whence cometh my help.
From whence cometh my help?
My help cometh from Yahweh,
My help cometh from Yahweh,
which made heaven and earth.
which made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth thee
He that keepeth thee
will not slumber.
will not slumber.
Behold,
Behold,
he that keepeth Yasha'Allah
he that keepeth Yasha'Allah
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
The Lord is thy keeper.
The Lord is thy keeper.
The Lord is thy shade
The Lord is thy shade
upon thy right hand.
upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
nor the moon by night.
nor the moon by night.
The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil.
The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
The Lord shall preserve thy going out
The Lord shall preserve thy going out
and thy coming in
and thy coming in
from this time forth
from this time forth
and even forevermore.
and even forevermore.
All right, now we're going to read Psalm chapter 83. Alahayim,
Alahayim,
Al Damayah Lakah,
Al Damiyalaka,
Al Thacharash,
Al Takarash,
Wa Al Thashakwat,
Al Tashakpat,
Al
Al
Kayah Hana,
Ayahana,
Awa Yab Yakah,
Al Yabyaka,
Yahama Yawan,
Yahamayawan,
Ra'ash,
Ra,
Al Imaka,
Al Amaka,
Ira Yamwa,
Ra'ayam,
Sawadah,
Savada,
Wayatha,
Wayata,
Ya'ai Tazawa,
Yaitazawa,
Al Tazapawanyika,
Al Tazawanyaka,
Amarawa,
Marwa,
Lakawa,
Lakawa,
Wanakachidum,
Wanakati Adam,
Magalia,
Magalia,
Wala'a,
Bala,
Yazakar,
Yazakar,
Sham Yasha'alim,
Sham Yasha'al,
Iwada,
Awada,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Nawa'ai Tazawa,
Awaitazawa,
Laba,
Laba,
Yakhadwa,
Yakab,
Al Yaka,
Awyaka,
Baryat,
Barya,
Yakarathwa,
Karath,
Ahalia,
Ahawi,
Adawam,
Adawam,
Wayashamayala,
Ayashma'al,
Yamawa'aba,
Yamawa'aba,
Wahagariam,
Hagari,
Gabal,
Gabab,
Wa'imawan,
Ba'amawan,
Wa'imalak,
Ba'amalak,
Halashath,
Halashat,
Ein Yashabia,
An Yashabi,
Tazawar,
Tazawu,
Gamashawar,
Gamashawu,
Nalawa,
Alawa,
Imam,
Imam,
Hayawa,
Ayawa,
Zarawai,
Zarawai,
Labanya Lawat,
Sabani Lawat,
Salah,
Salah,
Aisha Laham,
Ashalaham,
Kamadia,
Kamadi,
Kasaya Sara'ah,
Tasayasara,
Kayabia,
Yabya,
Banakal,
Barakal,
Kwayashwan,
Payashwa,
Nashamadwa,
Nashmadwa,
Ba'ayan Da'ara,
Ma'ayan Da'ar,
Hayawa,
Ayawa,
Daman,
Lama,
La'arama,
Larama,
Shayatamwa,
Sadamu,
Nada Yamawa,
Medaya,
Nada Yamawa,
Medaya Mawa,
Kairab,
Kara,
Wakaza Abba,
Wakazab,
Wakaza Ba,
Wakazabak,
Wakatazamanai,
Wakazamana,
Kal Messiah Kamwa,
Khan Sakam,
Ashar,
Shah,
Amarawa,
Marwa,
Nayarashah,
Maria Shah,
Lanawa,
Mawa,
As,
Ah,
Na'awa,
Nawa,
Alahayim,
Alahai,
Alahaya,
Alahaya,
Shayatamwa,
Shah, Thamma,
Kagalgala,
Kagalgala,
Kakwash,
Supash,
Lapanya, Brawaka,
Lapanya, Rauka,
Kaash,
Kaash,
Tabaira,
Tabaira,
Ya'ira,
Ya'ira,
Wakalahaba,
Wakalaba,
Talahat,
Talahat,
Harayam,
Hariyam,
Kantaradakma,
Kantaradama,
Basa Iraka,
Basa Iraka,
Wabasa, Wapathka,
Obasa, Wapak,
Tabahalom,
Tabalam,
Mala'a,
Ala'a,
Panyahom,
Panyaham,
Palawan,
Palawan,
Wayabakwashwa,
Wayapapashwa,
Shimka,
Shamka,
Yahweh,
Yahau,
Yabashwa,
Yabashwa,
Wayabahalwa,
Wayabaharu,
Ayai,
Ayai,
Wayakaparwa,
Wayakaparu,
Wayabadwa,
Wayabadwa,
Wayadaiwa,
Wayadaiwa,
Hayatha,
Wayatha,
Shimka,
Shamka,
Yahweh,
Yahau,
Labadka,
the Badika,
Al Yawan,
Al-Yawan,
Al-Koha,
Al-Kaha,
Arataza.
Al-Ratza.
Psalm chapter 83 now in the English. Keep not thou silence.
Keep not thy silence.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still.
Be not still.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
For lo,
For lo,
thine enemies make a tumult.
thine enemies make a tumult.
And they that hate thee
And they that hate thee
have lifted up the head.
have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel
They have taken crafty counsel
against thy people,
against thy people,
and consulted
and consulted
against thy hidden one.
against thy hidden one.
They have said,
They have said,
Come,
come,
and let us cut them off
let us cut them off
from being a nation,
from being a nation.
that the name of Yasharallah
But the name of Yasharallah
may be no more in remembrance.
may be no more in remembrance.
So they have consulted together
For they have consulted together
with one consent.
with one consent.
They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against thee.
The tabernacles of Edom
The tabernacles of Edom
and the Ishmaelites
and the Ishmaelites
of Moab
of Moab
and the Hagarenes,
and the Hagarenes,
Gabal
Gebal
and Ammon
and Ammon
and Amalek,
and Amalek,
the Philistines,
the Philistines,
with the inhabitants of Tyre.
with the inhabitants of Tyre.
Ashur also is joined with them.
Ashur also is joined with them.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
Salah.
Salah.
Do unto them
Do unto them
as unto the
as
Midianites,
unto the Midianites,
as to Sisera,
as to Sisera,
as to Jabin,
as to Jabin,
at the brook of Kaisar,
the brook of Kaisan,
which perished at Endor.
which perished at Endor.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became a dung for the earth.
Make their nobles
Make their noble
like Ori
like Orek
and like Zaid,
and like Zee.
yea,
Yea,
all their princes as the Ba
all their princes of the Ba
and as Zalmunna,
and as Amun,
who said,
who said,
Let us take to ourselves
let us take to ourselves
the houses of God in possession.
the house of God in possession.
O my God,
Oh my God,
make them like a wheel,
make them like a wheel,
as the stubble before the wind.
as a stubble before the wind,
As the fire burneth a wood,
as a fire burneth the wood,
and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
So persecute them
So persecute them
with thy tempest,
with thy tempest,
and make them afraid
make them afraid
with thy storm.
with thy storm,
Fill their faces with shame,
fill their faces with shame,
that they may seek thy name,
they may seek thy name,
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
Let them be confounded
Let them be confounded
and troubled forever.
and troubled forever.
Yea,
Yea,
let them be put to shame
let them be put to shame
and perish,
and perish,
that men may know
that men may know
that thou,
that thou,
whose name alone
whose name alone
is Yahweh,
is Yahweh,
art the most high
art the Most High
over all the earth.
over all the earth.
All right, with that, start. Go ahead and set it down. And blow the horn one more time after you set it down.
Laya Shal.
Laya Shalom. Blow the horn one more time. All right, and with that, Mashabia, you have to sit. You have a seat. Shalom. Shalom. This is Isupk BK, started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, 1969. We're under Commanding General Yohana. We're here to teach the truth of the Bible for so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, that they are the real Israelites of the Bible. And we continue our tradition of keeping the Sabbath day, keeping that day holy, to honor the Most High by, having the Sabbath service to continue to edify the people of Israel, those throughout the four corners of the earth, the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. We hold the Sabbath services in commemoration of our culture and a reviving of our people. And that we read the ancient Paleo Hebrew on the Sabbath day. We've been going through the book of Genesis from the very jump. We're now on Genesis chapter 36. So we've made quite a way because we're getting closer and closer to Exodus, which is going to be where, obviously there's a lot of action to be said up until then, but that's where things really start to kick off as far as the nation of Israel really starting to take shape. You understand? It's already started to take shape over the past few chapters that we've read, all of the sons of Jacob being born, you know what I'm saying? We just read in chapter 35, the last son, which is Jacob's youngest son, Benjamin, was born, and at the cost of course, his mother's passing, who in travail gave birth to him, but also perished in the incident, right? And so at the end of that chapter, we also see that Jacob and Esau go to bury their father, who lived to be, what was it, like 160 some odd, almost 160 to 170 years. And so, I mean, good night. You're talking about a life well lived. Mind you, this happened well after. This is something that people might need a refresher on. Isaac gave Jacob the blessing that he took from Esau, right? When he went blind. If you go back to when he gave the blessings to his son, it was the time that Isaac went blind that he received a blessing, and Esau had hated Jacob and sought to kill him after his father passed away, right? But his father said, "I know not when my time shall end," or saying to the extent of he doesn't know how long he has left to live. And so a lot happened since then. Jacob had left to go live with Laban out of fear for Esau, wanting to kill him. He went and built an entire family. You know what I'm saying? He had labored with Laban for the hand of both of his daughters. He ended up serving, 14 years? You know what I'm saying? For both of the daughters of Laban. Ended up building a family, ended up moving around, and then Isaac passed away. So we're talking about, quite a grip of years there between the time that Jacob had received the blessing and when we finally get to the end of Genesis chapter 35 regarding the death of Isaac, right? And so we finished that chapter last class, and we even began a little bit into Genesis chapter 36. What I want to do is this. We're going to read the Hebrew. We already read the Hebrew verses 1 through 7 of chapter 36. We're just going to quickly read it as a refresher, and then we're going to go into the Hebrew and continue on from there. And we're going to start the Hebrew once we get to Genesis chapter 36 and verse 8. So for those of you that are tuning in online, you want to grab yourself an English King James Bible, right? That's the first part. And then the second part is you could download for free the Bible Hub app. The Bible Hub app you can find on iOS and the Play Store. So whether you're using an iPhone or an Android, you can get that app for free. And when you get into the app, you want to click on where it says interlinear version, because the interlinear version will allow you to follow along with us once we get to the Hebrew. The Hebrew that it shows on the app itself is actually modernized Hebrew, but we, of course, will give the dialect of the ancient Hebrew. So just a heads up for y'all on that. You understand? So it's important to know that, because when you get to the point where we're starting to read it, we're starting to go through the flow, you may not understand what's being said, but you can start to pick up on some of that Hebrew if you try and follow along with us in reading the actual words that we're reading in Hebrew. So let's go ahead and read in the English first. Genesis chapter 36, verses 1 through 7. We're just reading that real quick just to get a quick recap, because this chapter goes into the lineage and the basically the bloodline of Esau, right? Go ahead and read that real quick.
Book of Genesis chapter 36 and verse 1. Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom.
So that's the first thing you have to keep in mind, the generations of Esau, who is Edom. If we ever mention anything about the name Edom later on in the Bible, Edom is referring to these people right here. All right, go ahead.
Verse 2. Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan. Adah, the daughter of Elon, the Hittites, and Ahlabam, Aholidamah, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Zibeon, the Hivite.
These are biblical names. They can get pretty complicated. But one thing you have to keep in mind is that Esau did have more than one woman. So the original white man did actually have more than one wife, right? Now, in this society, it's quite a bit different. But that doesn't really get established until the time of the latter times of their people, meaning the Romans, the Greeks. And so when you're reading at the forefront, of course, Esau had more than one woman, which is how he was able to grow so fast as well. You understand? Now, one thing that people need to keep in mind when we're reading this is that everything is warfare. There's one thing that our commanding General Yohana and his second-hand man, General Mahaiman, will always hit home on, is that if you look at everything with a warfare mindset, then you'll understand how it all comes together, how it all makes sense. Esau having more than one woman allows him to grow his family faster, which would then be reinforcements to seek revenge after his passing. right? Or to gain control over the lands that they live in. It's simple math. The more people that you have on your side, the better, right? The more sons that you have at your side, the faster and stronger your people will be, because they'll be able to grow faster. They'll be able to control things and handle things, because, there is an importance when it comes to building a nation, that you have the right amount of men that are able to do the job that needs to get done. And so having 12 sons, obviously Jacob had more than one woman to do so. And that's something that people tend to forget. So now read on. There's more to be said about this.
Verse 3. And Beshemeth, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebajoth. Verse 4. And Adah bare to Esau Eliphaz. And Bashemath bare Reuel. Verse 5. And Aholibama bare Jeush and Jalam and Korah. These are the sons of Esau, which were born unto him in the land of Canaan.
Right. So in the land of Canaan, while he lived there, it mentions those were the first sons that he had. All right. Go ahead and get verse 6.
Verse 6. And Esau took his wives and his sons and his daughters and all the persons of his house and his cattle and all his beasts and all his substance, which he had got in the land of Canaan, and went into a country from the face of his brother Jacob. Now, this is important because he actually went in opposite direction than where Jacob went. And it's going to start explaining why he did this. Go to verse 7 now. This is what I wanted to recap. Go ahead. Verse 7. For their riches were more than that they might dwell together. For their riches were more than that they might dwell together. Now, that's why, remember, this is a continuation of the previous verse where it says, and went into the country from the face of his brother Jacob, for their riches were more than they might dwell together. So what does that mean? What is that saying? It means that everything they had was enough to the point where they were able to spread out, because it wouldn't have benefited them for them to stay in the same area, because there was an abundance of things, abundance of cattle, abundance of people, right? And so they wanted to split. Basically, they wanted to do their own thing. And it was going to be beneficial for both of them to actually separate rather than to stay together, because of the sheer amount of resources that they had built up. Go ahead. And the land wherein they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle. Right. So it says, and the land wherein they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle. Like it was too much. Imagine you have so much cattle that the grass, the greenery that the cattle eat is gone before it can even grow back. You know what I'm saying? Like there comes a point where you have to be able to macro manage your entire civilization that you're starting to build. And if you don't have enough resources to sustain it, then you need to venture out somewhere where you feel like you'll have more capability to sustain it. And so this is where we pick off from last week, where we're going to go into the Hebrew now, and we're going to continue where we finished last week. So now we're going to go to the Bible Hub app, which again is a downloadable app you can get for free. And you go to the interlinear version, you're going to see, I believe it's like 6 squares that pops up the moment that you open the app, or once the app is initially set up. Interlinear takes you to a version of the Bible that keeps the language it was originally written in, along with the English. And so it takes you to John 3:16 by default, and you'll see that it's written in, I believe it's either Greek or Latin. And so you're going to click on the top and use the drop down box to go back to Genesis. And then we're going to go to Genesis chapter 36. We're going to start at verse 8. All right. Go ahead and post in the chat if you need help finding it. If you need help finding the name of the app, we'll make sure to post that in the chat if necessary. Okay. All right. Now we're going to start reading in the Hebrew. Go ahead. In the book of Genesis chapter 36 and verse 8. Wayashab, Ishua, Bahar, Shayar, Ishua, Hawa. Adawam. Verse 9. Wa Allah. Taladawath. Aishwa. Abiyah. Adawam. Bahar. Shayar. Verse 10. Allah. Shamawath. Banayah. Aishawa. Aliyapaz. Ban. Ida. Ashath. Aishwa. Ra'ai Wa'al. Ban. Bashamath. Ashath. Aishawa. Verse 11. Wahayawu. Banayah. Aliyapaz. Tayaman. Awamar. Tazapaw. Waga Aitam. Wakwanaz. Verse 12. Watha Manai. Watha Manai. It's like,
yeah.
Hayatha. Hayal Lagash. La Layapaz. La Layapaz. There. Ban. Aishwa. Watalad. La Layapaz. Ath. Amalak. Allah. Banya. Ida. Aishath. Aishawa. Verse 13. Wa'ala. Banya. Ra'ai Wa'al. Nakath. Wazarath. Shema. Wamazah. Allah. Ayawa. Banya. Bashamath. Ashath. Aishwa. Verse 14. Wa'ala. Hayawa. Banya. Aha Layabama. Bath. Aina. Bath. Tazaba I1. Ashath. Aishwa. Wathalad. Aishwa. Ath. I still gotta read those. These ones.
They're the same. Just read the one on the left.
The one on the left, which one? This one right here?
Yeah.
They're the same thing.
Yeah.
I wash.
Yep. There you go.
Wa'ath. Lam. Wa'ath. Korak. As in verse 14.
All right. Let's go ahead and go back to the English. We're going to start in the English at verse 8. Again, this is starting to go. You're hearing a lot of names when we're reading this, because that's what we're doing. We're reading the names of the sons and of Esau, the wives of Esau that gave birth to those sons. And so what you're going to notice is that some of the names that are being read are names that are actually Hebrew, right? Because their native tongue, their original tongue was, in fact, Hebrew before it was changed to other things. So you'll see that some of those names, like let's just keep going. You'll see what I'm talking about. Go ahead and read verse 8.
Verse 8. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir.
Hold up. It says where?
Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir.
So this is where he went, because he turned away from Jacob to go and build somewhere else. And so he went to a place called Seir. Seir is it literally means hairy or shaggy, but it tells you that the land of Edom is south of the Dead Sea. All right, that's pretty much where it's going to be at. The mountain range in Edom extending from the Dead Sea to the Atlantic Gulf, which would be, of course, what we now know today as the Caucasus Mountains, right? So it's really starting to narrow down, even from the beginning of Esau going and building his nation, of who is kind of foreshadowing who they are in today's society, because you got to go and look who came from Mount Seir, who descended from them, right? To better understand exactly who the Bible's talking about when it says these names. Because here's the thing, though, like when you know how Isupk, we say blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians are Israelites, right? Well, in the Bible, you're not seeing black, Hispanic, and Native American. You're seeing Zebulun, you're seeing Judah, Benjamin, you're seeing Zebulun, Issachar, Asher, Naphtali. And when you were young, you saw those names and it just kind of like dozed you off to sleep because you didn't quite understand it. So you didn't really pay it any mind. And your church never went into actually explaining what these people are, like where they come from. And so this is an important thing that we're reading here, because just like how Israel has 12 sons and people that would make up their tribes, Esau also had sons that would go out and do things throughout the Bible that you read about, such as Amalek, for example, right? Which we can get an example of. But read verse 8 one more time.
Verse 8. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Mm-hmm. Esau is Edom.
Right. Esau is Edom. Keep going.
So, verse 9. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in Mount Seir.
Okay, keep going.
Verse 10. These are the names of Esau's sons. Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau. Reuel, the son of Bashemath, the wife of Esau.
Right, you see how I'm saying that this son belonged, there was this wife that he had this son with, and then this wife had this son, right? Or the two sons we just read, Eliphaz and Reuel. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 11. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, and Gatam, and Kenaz. It's like Kenaz.
Now, why is this important? Think about it. If your son had other sons, what does that make you? A grandfather. Mm-hmm. So we're reading about, this is also talking about Esau's grandchildren, right? And this says, and this son got it busy because Eliphaz had Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Okay, so that's 5 sons right there. You saw how quickly he just multiplied just from 2 generations? And that's just one of his sons. Go ahead, what's up?
No, but it's crazy because it gives you detail by detail. Like people they don't think there's detail in the Bible. But the Bible gives you all the sons of Esau and the lineage of Esau. That's how detailed it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly
with our enemies.
All right, so Teman, right? That's interesting because Teman actually is the name of a place eventually. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And Teman was concubine to Eliphaz.
Timnah,
was concubine to Eliphaz and Esau's son. And she bare to Eliphaz Amalek.
It says what?
And she bare to Eliphaz Amalek.
Amalek is another one of the descendants of Esau, right? That he had through a concubine. I saw that Esau's son had a wife named Timnah. All right, go ahead.
These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife.
There you go. These are the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And these are the sons of Reuel, Nahath, and Zahar, Shema, and Mizah. These are the sons of Bashemath. Esau's wife.
Right. So it keeps record of these things, right? Because their names may pop up later in the Bible, and then you can refer them back to this chapter right here. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 14. And these were the sons of Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, Esau's wife. And she bare to Esau Jeush, and Jalam, and Korah.
All right, let's hold up right there. So that was important because that's kind of laying the foundation of Esau's tribes, right? As far as like being able to determine where they come from, and you could take any of these particular names and look them up in the scriptures, and like say for instance, I'd take Amalek, right? Amalek. Let me see. Remember again, Amalek is the name here. Let me see. Give me Exodus chapter 17, verse 8.
So Exodus chapter 17, verse 8?
Yeah. Exodus chapter 17, verse 8.
Book of Exodus chapter 17, verse 8. Then came Amalek and fought with Israel in
Rephidim. So this is an example, son of Eliphaz, the concubine of Timnah, the grandson of Esau, and progenitor of the tribe of the people in southern Canaan. All right, Amalek is what it's talking about. Amalek talking about the descendants of Amalek or Amalek themselves. So when you see Amalek, you'll even see the descendants of them mentioned in the prayer that we just read in Psalm chapter 83, almost to the point where it, like, remember it says the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, and then Amalek. Like, so we know that Amalek actually is also with Edom. And so that's important because you could see that there's different levels to the leadership structures amongst even Esau, right? You have to understand who our enemy is, right? Because our enemy is somebody that has been built up over so long and have been given power and dominion over the earth for a period of time that you should know about them. They don't force it in your face every day with their movies and books and, you know what I'm saying, the schooling system where it glorifies their culture. Well, it's actually more important to get a better pinpoint understanding of where their culture comes from rather than just what they put out there for you to believe in and to follow, right? Let me see if I got some material here that I want to talk about. Let's see. We'll get to that a little bit later. And that's exactly what will happen. And it was prophesied in the Bible that there would be a period of time where Esau would have been let loose, so to speak, to cause chaos on the earth. And even you see in the beginnings of that when Amalek came and fought it with Israel and Rephidim. Now, read verse 9 real quick.
Verse 9. And Moses said unto Joshua, choose us out, men.
Yeah.
And go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in mine hand.
Keep going.
Keep going, verse 10.
Yeah.
Verse 10. So Joshua did as Moses had said to him and fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill.
Keep going.
Verse 11. And it came to pass when Moses held up his hand that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed.
You see that? It says when Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. That's like a war tactic, meaning what? Like to take ground and give ground. You know what I'm saying? Moses was over here straight up, you know what I'm saying, being a commander of a battlefield in this sense. You know what I mean? So this is pretty heavy stuff because we're reading about Jacob's, grandchildren and four sons after him, and then Esau's seed after him coming against us, right? That's in the scriptures. Matter of fact, give me let me see. This is heavy. Read verse 12.
Verse 12. But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him. And he sat thereon. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands. The one on the one side and the other on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword.
So there was something spiritual going on right here. With Moses, in order to win the battle, he needed to have his hand held up. But when he got tired and his hand started to go down, Israel started to lose this battle. And so what happened was Moses' hands were heavy, and they put it under him, and he sat thereon, and Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands. What does that mean? They helped him keep his hand in the air. Like, that's brotherhood right there. You know what I'm saying? And I'll bring that up because we're talking about Amalek. Give me verse 13. So they kept his, give verse 13. They held his hand up so that they could win that battle against Amalek. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword.
You see that? So there was a victory there to be had, right? Amalek was given pushback. Esau's sons fighting against the sons of Jacob. It's no different now than this is what happens when you see Esau and Jacob fighting now in the boxing ring, right? What happens when you put your hands down? You end up getting knocked out, right? So what's the moral of the story? You got to keep your hands up, just like how Moses kept his hands up with the stone. That even in Israel today, you see, our champions fighting in the boxing league. I'm trying to give an example, like Canelo Alvarez, who's an Israelite, who just happens to be light-skinned, when he fought against Sergey Kovalev, you know what I'm saying, knocking out Kovalev, because Kovalev finally gave to and brought his hands down, and before you know it, Canelo gave him that combo to the body and then to the head and knocked him clean out. There's so many examples of that, right? So many examples of our people when we let our guard down, that's when our enemy advances over us. And so it's important for us to stay locked into our culture, because the more that we keep studying, the more we keep rehearsing the righteous acts, that's us holding our hand up just like how Moses did. Now, that's a different story, but let's go back to Genesis. Give me verse 14 again in English, then we're going to go back to the reading.
Verse 14. And these were the sons of Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, Esau's wife. And she bare to Esau Jeush, and Jalam, and Korah.
All right, so we're going to continue there. So now we're going to go to the interlinear version, and we're going to read more about the lineage of Esau. Let me see. Yeah, this chapter is quite extensive, so we're going to continue to kind of flow through some of these, okay?
This book of Genesis, chapter 36 and verse 15. Allah Wapaya Banya Aishua Banya Alayapas.
Right.
Bakawa Aishwa Alawa Chief Tayaman Alawa Awamar Alawa Tazapawa Alawa Quanaz.
Yeah.
Verse 16. Alawa Korak Alawa Ga'itham Alawa Amalak Allah Alawapia
Alayapaz.
Ba'aratza Adawam Allah Manya Ida. Verse 17. Wa Allah Manya Ra'ai Wa'al Ban Aishawa Alawak Nakath Alawak Zarak, Alawap, Shema, Alawap, Mazah, Allah. Oh, shoot, come on.
You had it right.
Oh no, my thing like reloaded, so I gotta find out where it was again.
You were in Genesis 36 and 17.
Oh, like where was it? It just like reloaded.
Where just go to Chief Mazah.
Chief Mazah, oh, there it is. Chief Mazah, Allah, Alawap, Alawapya, Ra'aywa, Ba'arataza, Adawam, Allah, Banya, Bashamath, Asha, it's like Asha, Aishawa. Verse 18. Wa Allah, Banya, Ahalayya, Bama,
There you go.
Ashath, Aishwa, Alawap, Ya'aiwash, Alawap, Ya'ailam, Alawap, Korak, Allah, Alawapya, Amalaya, it's like Amalaya, Bamash, Bama.
Ahala Yabama.
Oh, it's like Ahalaya Maba. Bath, Aina, Ashath, Aishawa. Verse 19. Allah, Banya, Aishawa. Wa Allah, Alawapya, Ham. Hawa, it's like Adawam. Verse 20. Allah, Banya, Sh'ayar, Hakarya, Yashabi, Ha'arataza, Lawatan, Washa Waban. It's like Washa Waba. What does about I want? Why not? Verse 21. What does Shawan? What Tazar? What a Tazar? Oh, what Tazar? What a Yashan? Allah, Alawapian, Hakaraya, Manya, Shayar, Ba'arataza, Adawam. That is it. Verse 22?
No, that's it. You finished it?
Okay.
All right, so now we'll go back to it, read it in English. Start at verse 15.
Verse 15. These were dukes of the sons of Esau.
Now, here's the thing that we have to understand. So the word duke, the ancient Hebrew term for duke is alawap, okay? Or alap is another version of it, which means chief in this particular word, chief. All right. If you go into the root word, which H502 is alap, it comes from the word teach or to teach. Basically the teacher. And so the reason why I bring that up is because that's something that comes from actual Israelite culture. Esau implemented some of those things into his culture, and that's why you have rank and structure, and even in his militaries of nowadays, it comes all the way back from from Israel. It was not Israel, but Jacob, and his naming of his sons, and then giving them slack even before the times of Jacob and Esau. And so this is important because you look at Esau's military today, and they have master chiefs, they have master sergeants. I say master chiefs, but generals, they call them lieutenants and things like that. They have different names for them now. But originally the translation was duke, or the translation was chief. which would then, evolve into things like generals, lieutenants, and things like that. Now, Israel is a little bit more on the priestly side of things. Esau is a little bit more focused on the war, basically the armaments and things like that. And it goes all the way back from the beginning, which we'll get here in a minute. But let's read some of this, because again, this chapter is more about what their names are rather than what they end up doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's really setting the stage for the next group of chapters that we're going to read after this. All right, so go ahead and
verse 16.
Start at verse 15 again.
These were dukes of the sons of Esau. Sorry. The sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn son of Esau. Duke Taman, right. Duke Omar, Duke Zepho, Duke Kanaz.
Right, now in the previous verses we read about how those were sons, basically Esau's grandsons, but those men grew up to be leaders in their nation, right? That didn't just happen overnight. They were young, they were kids, babies, they grew up, they did what their forefathers did. They hunted, they do things like that. And how do we know that? Because the scripture prophesies that. Hold that, give me Genesis chapter 27, verse 38.
You said Genesis chapter 27, verse 38?
Yeah, Genesis chapter 27, verse 38. And hold where we're at, because we're going to come back to this. But this is, again, talking about how these men came to be, basically men of stature within their society, right? If there's one thing that you can bet on is that Esau is going to be the same way he always was. And it's always in his spirit to live a certain type of lifestyle, to, have his mind focused on certain ways of life that their forefathers did, right? So what is that? Well, we know one thing. These people ended up dwelling in Mount Seir. And up until this point in the scripture, what we read, Genesis chapter 27, talks about what their blessing is that Isaac gave them at the time when Isaac was giving out the blessings to his sons. Okay, go ahead.
This is the book of Genesis chapter 27, verse 38. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept.
Esau is a bit of a crybaby here because Jacob done played him and got the first. First of all, Esau sold his birthright, but then he wanted to just imagine. He wanted to just pretend that transaction never took place, and he wanted to just go and get that birthright and that blessing from the father. Besides the fact that he had made that deal with Jacob. So it was almost like him doing what he always does. He always puts a treaty out and then disregards the treaty when it comes time for him to get benefits, right? So that's always been in his spirit. It's always been the same, even nowadays when it comes to treaties with the Native Americans. Like when you saw Donald Trump came in office and the Dakota Access Pipeline was on Native American ground, but hey, that's oil. We need to pump more oil and get our own economy going and keep the gas prices down. Well, guess what? That's how Esau operated. There was a treaty that they were supposed to go into that land, and they went and did it anyways. Because why? Because it was going to benefit him, and he only cares ultimately about his well-being and his society and his economy and things like that. And so that's exactly what we're seeing here, is that Esau was going to the father and be like, well, okay, all this may have happened. Jacob may have taken the blessing from him deceitfully. And so now he's getting a taste of his own medicine. And now he's going to his father and pleading with him to receive a blessing. And this is what his father tells him. Go ahead.
Verse 39. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth.
Thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. What does that mean? Really think about what that means. What do you think that's talking about? Knowing what we just read about that. What is that saying? Thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. Yeah. Any idea?
Oh, you don't. The dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth.
Let me help you out. So fat is a part of a lot of different foods. What you'll notice is that the fat content in most foods that taste really good are high, right?
Yeah.
What is it saying then?
Like he'll get, like, you know how it says like some people get crumbs, or like Israel get the whole meal, and other nations will get crumbs. Well, he's gonna be like getting some of the fatness, like how he does today. He's ruling. He's out here at the top for right now, only for a short period of time. But
so you kind of getting the idea of it when it's saying that dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. What is it saying? It's saying that like the vanity of certain things, right? The pleasures of certain things. His dwelling places are places where people go to really feed into their flesh, to feed into that side of them that just wants the enjoyment, the lustfulness, right? Mm. So when he's saying it kind of like codely, like as if there's a meaning behind it that's not really well expounded on at the time that he said it. But think about that. Think about Esau's largest cities, like New York, like Las Vegas, which they call Sin City, right? New York is a place of much commerce and shopping and tall buildings and money and, Wall Street and all these different things and control of resources. Las Vegas is a place of pleasure, a place of gambling, a place where people go and they get drunk, they find drugs, they dwell, you know what I'm saying? They do everything unlawful. It's definitely not good in a lot of the things they do. But it says that thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. Read a little bit more on that.
And of the dew of heaven from above.
And of the dew of heaven from above. Right. Again, that sustenance that makes you want to get more of. Like, really think about how that pertains to today's society. You can't turn on the TV without seeing ads that throw, consumption at you. You got to see the ads of fast food restaurants and all these different, food places and, theme parks and things that you need to just go out and enjoy, what really is just a big distraction and seems like it's nice and fun and all that. And it's very easily to get caught up in those things because it's what they constantly throw at us. But that all goes with what Esau's kingdom was always about. It was always about people having fun and doing all the things they want to do, though it was unlawful. I'm not saying theme parks are unlawful. What I'm saying is that the society always pushes you to prioritize pleasure rather than servitude to the Most High. You understand? That's why Israel was the one that was given the law. Israel was the one that was given the covenant. The other nations were not given that. Esau especially. But what was Esau given? Esau was given the fatness of the earth. His society is the one that has all the I guess you could say they use the technological advancements just to make your life as lazy as possible, right? Because they just want you to, continue to feed their society. And that's what it is. It's all about the fatness of the earth. There's more to it than that. What's up?
That's why this whole earth, that's why everything is based on, like you said, it was based on pleasure. Like everywhere you go, it's like a resort. Like you go and it's like to view or sightsee things, or like to go and experience things. It's mostly like that's what everything is based off. They want you to come and see it and come and get money from you. Mm-hmm. Like it's pretty much just the fatness. They want you to
precept. The scripture talks about that all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Her fornication is talking about Babylon the Great. I guess you could say their sorcery that they put on the world with all the enchanting, TV advertisements and media and style and sinful lifestyle that they put out there for the world to soak up, and that so much so that they start to copy Esau, right? Because the other nations, they want some of that fatness as well. They want some of that, those hooks that draw people in to visit their countries and do things with them and do business with them. They all kind of fallen in line because of that. I guess you could say they've been hypnotized with that mentality that Esau was blessed with. So it's important to recognize that, because that's what society you live in right now. If you're getting caught up in all that, then you might be missing the true message about what our mission really is about, because we get caught up in all these other things, and it so easily draws us away. It wears down the saints. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wears us down to see all the different media that we can consume, all the restaurants we can go and visit, when really a lot of that stuff is like fake nutrients and GMO crops and, you know, the fatness. Basically, fat is there, and it may help the product taste better, but it doesn't have a lot of nutritional value to it. And that's how Esau society is there's a lot of what they call it, frills and flim flam and riffraff and all these things that make it seem nice, but what you're left with in the end is a belly that may feel full, but you're not actually getting what you need. It's like that in their food system. It's like that in their entertainment industry. You know, you go to a movie theater, you get this nice feeling afterwards, but then you always need more because it wasn't quite enough to fulfill what, you know, your purpose in life is. Again, because the society is so focused on that fatness. But there's more to it. What up?
Nah, but I said what you were saying was right. Cause trying to all that pretty much just reminded me, like, it's pretty much like drinking seawater. You drink it, but it's not enough. You have to drink more and more and more, and it makes you dry it out.
Yeah,
it's like drinking seawater, but also like Esau he's just a show. He puts on a show.
Yeah,
everything is for him. It just looks.
Mm-hmm.
You see things like his food. His food is all for looks. You look at it, and it may look good and all juicy and everything, but then when you eat it, it's like, ew, it's all nasty and it's not. It don't taste good at all.
Yeah, we'll definitely we'll talk about more on that in a little bit. But go ahead and keep reading, because we're
verse.
You know what? Yeah, we're in Genesis 27 and 39. We read verse 38. Read 39.
Verse 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above.
So you have that side of his society. That's definitely true. We know this Bible is true. So we know that these things have happened. We know these things are happening. We know that his society is like that. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 40. And by the sword shalt thou live.
Here's the other side of it. Read that again.
And by the sword shalt thou live.
And by the sword shalt thou live. Meaning that everything that he's got is gotten because he took it, because he killed for it, because he did wrongfully to gain that. You know what I'm saying? It's always in his spirit to kill and steal and destroy, to take what belongs to him. And that's the mentality that he's always had. Go ahead.
And shalt serve thy brother.
And he shall serve thy brother. And this has not actually happened yet. Go ahead.
Wait a minute.
What's up?
Like, even Isaac said this. This was Isaac saying this, right?
Yeah.
Damn, even Isaac said this. And he didn't even know about
But people are disconnected because they don't see that Esau is the people that come from Mount Seir, right? We're talking all biblical terms. We're getting so deep into it now that we can pinpoint exactly who it is with just using the Bible. I don't have to talk about today's society, but it's nice to bring those things up, because then we start to realize, wait a minute, this is exactly how Esau's been. You know, America has been at war for the majority of its existence. You know, and same thing with the European continents, the countries. Right? You go to any of them. You can go to Great Britain. You talk about Germany. You talk about Russia. All of them. Have always lived by the sword. Right? Keep going.
And shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
His yoke that's broken from off thy neck is what is him in his society now. When he has the dominion, when he's the one that owns the diamond district, owns the oil industry, owns the resources on the earth, tells you where you can go. You have to go to him to get a passport to even leave the country. You have to get a birth certificate when you're born to be recognized as a citizen in his country that he took from you, your forefathers. Isn't that crazy? Oh, we're supposed to forget all that and move on and forgive. No, we're not forgetting it. We're pinpointing what it is. That's what the scriptures is here for. For the things that are written aforetime are written for your learning. That through patience of the scriptures, comfort and patience of the scriptures, you might have hope. What is our hope? Our hope is that we get that time of his dominion comes to an end, and that yoke of iron is actually put back on his neck, because the scripture also says that is going to happen. It says, by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And so it's important to keep that in mind, because that is exactly what Esau is building right here. When he's talking about the dukes, when he's talking about his grandchildren, his sons that come after him, they're preparing for that type of mentality. By the sword shalt thou live. So he's preparing his sons to be a warlike people. Because, I mean, think about it. He's always been warlike in the sense of wanting to go and hunt and kill, and you know what I mean? Wanting to kill animals, wild boars, or whatever it is he likes to eat, venison and whatnot. He go out there, and how is he today? He does that just for fun now. He doesn't even really do it for food, but he'll do it for food if he needs to. Like, he'll go and sit there and put, you know, stinky odors on him to attract animals so that he could shoot them. And then if he wants to get extra creative, he'll use a bow and arrow, or if he's really barbaric, he'll just use hand weapons. You know what I'm saying? But most of the time they just use guns now, because most of them are not really in shape, except for the ones that, you know, have actual time to work out all the time, right? That's probably the only way that they even get to that kind of stature nowadays. Because, again, their kingdom is the fatness of the earth, because they're so used to just indulging, right, that they've kind of lost track of really who they are. And it's only when really dire things take place that they snap back into that mode of living by the sword, right? But it's still there. It's still a part of who they are. Drop that. Let's go back to where we were reading at. Genesis chapter 36. Now give me verse
16.
Yeah, 16.
Verse 16. Duke Kor, Duke Gutman, and Duke Amalek. These are the dukes that came off Eliphaz in the land of Edom. These were the sons of Adah.
Keep going.
Verse 17. And these are the sons of Reu, Esau's sons. Duke Nahath, Duke Zerah, Duke Shammah, Duke Mizah. These are the dukes that came of Reu in the land of Edom. These are the sons of Bashamath, Esau's wife. Verse 18. And these are the sons of Aholi Bama, Esau's wife. Duke Juesh, Duke Jalamah. It's like a Jalam. Duke Korah. These were the dukes that came from Ahalibamah, the daughter of Anah, Esau's wife. Verse 19. These are the sons of Esau, who is Edom, and these are their dukes.
Yeah, so it's really continuing to really flesh out the whole backstory of their lineage. Right? The Bible is very precise like that. It even does the same thing for Christ. When you read Luke, I believe it's chapter 3, where it actually talks about Christ's lineage all the way back to Adam, and it gives you a whole chapter of just names, right? It's like, dang, you're really going to make us read all that? But yeah, it's important, because those are records to hold true to this day. And it's important to use that to help you defend the truth, right? Because the Bible, being the truth, is telling you the lineage of these people and where they come from. Keep going.
Verse 20. These are the sons of Seir, the Horite, who inhabited the land. Lotan, Ishabah, and Zibeon, and Anna. Verse 21.
Right. Horite was the inhabitants of Mount Seir, or also the inhabitants of Edom. Right, go ahead.
Verse 21. And Dishan, and Izar, and Dishan.
Dishan and Dishan, or whatever.
It's like Dishan.
Yeah.
Dishan and Dishan.
You see how there's two different ones?
Oh, I see it. These are the dukes of the Horites, the children of Seir in the land of Edom.
Now, just to kind of give you a deeper understanding of what's going on here, because Esau has always been the people that live by the sword. they also die by the sword. And what scripture that is?
Live by the sword and die by the sword?
Yeah. What was it? Revelation. Get that real quick. I think was it 13:9? I'm probably wrong. Let me see.
What are you looking for?
Yeah, it is. Start of Revelation chapter 13, verse 9. You got to see that we're reading about the same people that Isaac blessed with the sword, right? And so it ties, like we're reading about this in Genesis, about the families, the leadership of what would be Esau's kingdom, Edom and Mount Seir. But even in the time of Revelation, it carries out everything that has happened from Genesis all the way to the end of the Bible. So all of this is true. Read this.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
Yeah, read that again.
Okay. Verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
Now, people will call that karma, but we know better than that. This is prophecy that the scriptures is talking about. If you lead people into slavery, then you're going to go into slavery. And then you know how spiritual this is, because the people that actually were alive at the time that the slaves were being put into slavery, they're technically they're not alive today, right? Like those physical people that were there. So how is it that they go into slavery when they die? Their lineage that comes after them, right? That's why when Isaac told Esau, by the sword shalt thou live, he's not just talking to Esau. He's talking to all the descendants that are going to come after Esau. And so this rule still applies. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Read on.
He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
Now here's this is really heavy. He that does what?
He that killed with the sword must be killed with the sword.
He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. I'll give you an example. Give me Revelation chapter 9. And this is all part of the topic here. So, make sure that you're taking notes on this, because this is very important information. Revelation chapter 9. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Give me verse 1. What was past? 2. Yeah, give me verse 12. Yeah. I just want to read that, but I want to read up a little bit because there's a part that I want to kind of help you see what we're seeing. Go ahead.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 9, and verse 12.
Uh-huh.
One woe is past.
Uh-huh.
And behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter.
So what is this talking about? Revelation is important because this is the time when Esau was killing with the sword, right? And it was like so bad that he was doing it to himself by the hundreds of thousands and the millions. These woes are talking about the world wars, right? World War I, World War II, eventually World War III, which is also going to be at the hands of his scientists who created the atomic bomb, right? For those of you that have seen the movie Oppenheimer, is a perfect example of an ultimate sword that he created that will also be the same thing that kills him, right? He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. If the atomic bomb is the modern day ultimate weapon that he created, he kills with it, then he's going to get killed with it. That's just part of what World War III is going to be. You know what I'm saying? Aside from, of course, the Most High's army under Christ returning to save Israel. So this is exactly what Esau has always been ever since those dukes, ever since Esau, right? Give me verse. We're going to go up a little bit.
Verse 17?
Nah, give me verse. Revelation chapter 9, verse 6. Now, this is talking about World War I right here. Oh. Because at the beginning of Revelation chapter 9, it goes into World War I, and this is exactly what was going on at that time. Go ahead.
This is the book of Revelation chapter 9 and verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it.
It says what?
And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it.
Uh-huh.
And shall desire to die.
Uh-huh.
And death shall flee from thee.
Now, hold on a minute, because think about this. World War I was very much like that. You had mustard gas, you had shotguns, you had trench warfare, where people were moving in the trenches and causing so much bodily harm to each other, killing lots of them. A lot of them actually survived some of the devastation of the war. Like you had no man's land where men would get shot in the arm and he would fall down bleeding but he would still be breathing and he'd be hoping to die. You know what I'm saying? Let me give you a perfect example. I want you to read this. This is, if you want to understand Esau, listen to what he's talking about, right? Like, I'll give you the perfect example. On the way over here, I was studying for this class. I actually listened to one of the most popular Edomite rock bands of all time. People probably know the name Metallica, right? You've heard of Metallica? You've heard Metallica, right? Well, have you heard Metallica? Like, you have to think about this. That band was a phenomenon that took the hearts of so many people, especially Esau, right? Because he's going to talk to his people. He's going to tell them what their mind is like. And they're going to relate to it so much that band is going to be so successful. Well, let's take a look at what some of the things that he said in his song. This is a song called One. I want you to read this.
You don't got the lyrics?
This is, yeah. Just read. You don't have to sing it. Obviously, you might not know it. But what does the chorus say? Read it. Read it to the mic.
Which one? Verse 2 or
the chorus?
Oh. Hold my breath as I wish for death.
He said, hold my breath as I wish for death. What did we just read in Revelation chapter 9?
And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it.
Keep going.
And shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them.
Right, now go back to the song lyrics. Because I'm going to tell you what the song is about here in a second, but you need to read the lyrics to the song. Go ahead.
Hold my breath as I wish for death.
Uh-huh.
Oh, please, God, wake me.
Okay, give me verse 2. What we're reading right now, just for those that are just tuning in, we're reading the lyrics to one of Metallica's most famous songs. And it is the embodiment of Esau's spirit, which is why they are so damn popular. Because it talks to their people in a way that they can understand because they feel the same way. Keep going.
Back in the womb, it's much too real.
Let me see. I want to go to a specific part. Let me see.
It's much too real. I'm trying to go back in the womb.
This part right here. Now, if you listen to, read verse 1. This is verse 1 of their song. Let's listen to these lyrics and understand that this is the spirit that is in Esau today, yesterday, and always has been. Watch this. We just read Revelation chapter 9, which is talking about World War I. Okay, go ahead.
I can't remember anything.
Mm-hmm.
Can't tell if this is true or a dream.
Okay.
Deep down inside, I feel to scream.
Right. So he wants to scream. Go ahead.
This terrible silence stops me.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the war is through with me.
Now that the war is through with me. Keep going.
I'm waking up. I cannot see.
Uh-huh.
That there's not much left of me.
There you go.
Nothing is real but pain now.
Nothing is real but pain now. What is he talking about? So what I'm trying to get you to see is that this song is actually about a war veteran, but it's talking about a war veteran from World War I. Okay, here's the proof. Read this. There's a part of the song that everybody likes the most because the drum starts hitting and then he starts screaming. He starts yelling this part right here. This is the heaviest part of the song. Read this. Read that.
Darkness imprisoning me.
Darkness imprisoning me. Go ahead.
All that I see, absolute horror.
All that I see, absolute horror.
I cannot live. I cannot die.
That's what Revelation 9 was saying. I cannot live. I cannot die. Go ahead.
Trapped in myself.
Keep going.
Body, my holding cell.
Body is my holding cell. Yeah. Like he can't move. He can't speak. He can't talk. Keep going.
Landmine has taken my sight.
See that? Now he's starting to realize what happened to him. He was a warrior in the battlefield in World War I, and a landmine hit him, and it did what?
Has taken my sight.
So his sight was gone. Go ahead.
Taken my speech.
Uh-huh.
Taken my hearing.
Uh-huh.
Taken my arms.
Right. Taking his arms. Taking his speech. Taking his hearing. Go ahead.
Taken my legs.
Uh-huh.
Taken my soul.
Uh-huh.
Left me with life in hell.
Left me with life in hell. So this is the embodiment of that scripture. You go read Revelation chapter 9 again. Read that verse that we just read. This is what Metallica was saying. But there people are like, they're chanting these lyrics like it is in their spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like when you look at like a rock concert, especially Metallica, who's probably one of the more well-known bands out there. You know, there's tons of them. But the ones that are the most successful are the ones that confess that spirit that has always been in Esau. This particular one is saying, darkness is imprisoning me. All that I see, absolute horror. I cannot live. I cannot die. Trapped in myself, body, my holding cell. You know what I'm saying? So like he wishes he was dead. This is a soldier. Like, remember, we just read in the scripture, by the sword shalt thou live. And then that was in Genesis. And then in Revelation, it says, he that liveth by the sword must die by the sword, right? So that very same soldier that was out there on the battlefield, holding that gun, you know, shooting at targets, killing what was probably their own brethren from another state, because you had England versus Germany during World War I. You had Russia versus, I believe it was the Ottomans or something like that. Or no, it was there was all types of empires that were going into war at the time. You know, America versus Germany, France versus, you know what I'm saying, Germany and things like that. So they're all shooting at each other. And then the ones that are, you know, shooting also get shot. They also get hit by mustard gas. They also get hit by artillery shells, landmines. And that's what he's talking about in the song. He's saying the landmine has taken my sight, taken my speech, taken my hearing, taken my arms. And that's why he can't die, because he's basically become a vegetable who can't make any decisions for himself. And that's why he wants to die. And this is what happened in World War I. Literally World War I. That song was literally about Revelation chapter 9. Whether he realized it or not, when he wrote that song, he didn't even understand that that's what he was talking about. But it goes right along with that scripture, because in those days, what does it say in Revelation chapter 9?
In those days shall men seek death and shall not find it.
And shall not find it. Why? Why? Because they're in a hospital bed being attached to life support without any arms and without any legs. So he can't even pick up a gun to put to his own head to kill himself. You know what I'm saying? He cannot even speak to tell people to pull the plug. You feel me? Like, he got burn marks. He's lost his hair. He's lost his eyesight. It's like, why is he even? They're just keeping him alive just to keep him alive. And this song resonates with so many Edomites. Why? Because a lot of them are in the military. A lot of them are U.S. veterans that are disabled. A lot of them are men that were in Afghanistan when they hit a landmine, you know, during the wars, the Gulf War, the Persian War, the, you know what I'm saying, the Afghani and Iraqi war. A lot of them come back with PTSD. A lot of them wish to die, but death flees from them. And so their life becomes suffering. And the rock music embodies that pain that they have, because it's their spirit confessing who they are, but they have no idea that that's who they are. They don't know that they're Esau. Like, even Esau should know that they're Esau. And then it would make more sense for them. And when we're out there on the streets, we teach everybody who they are. We teach Israel who they are. We teach, you know, Edomites who they are. We teach the Chinese who they are. If they had that perspective, then maybe they would then accept their fate much better. But, you know, they do this instead. They have pride. And so they go through that suffering. And they go through that suffering as a sign that these scriptures are so much more true than you ever thought possible. Now, there's more to that chapter. Give me, we're not going to go into a full-on breakdown of Revelation chapter 9. But give me verse 9, though. Give me verse 7 first.
Book of Revelations, chapter 9, verse 7. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses preparing unto battle.
Go ahead.
And on their heads were as it were crowns like gold. And their faces were as the face of men.
So this is again talking about the world woes. And so these locusts were like horses prepared unto battle. So these flying vehicles were armored. Give me verse 9.
Verse 9. And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron.
Right, because they wanted to stop bullets from penetrating them from anti-air rounds and machine guns from people shooting from the ground. Go ahead.
And the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots, of many horses running out to battle.
Now, why would their wings sound like horsepower? Their wings sound like many horses, right? Well, that's what we call engines. An engine is something that is measured in horsepower. And an engine back in World War I was a propeller plane that made a lot of noise. You understand? It almost sounded like a thundering sound of many horses running into battle. So imagine a locust flying through the air and having breastplates of iron. You know what I'm saying? And these things dropped World War I. These things dropped mustard gas on the ground from the air that flood the trenches, that made men suffer so bad that many of them died. Some of them that survived, they had torn up lungs and, you know what I'm saying, messed up limbs. These planes would then start doing bombing runs and eventually start blowing up the different encampments and laying bombs in the trenches, and soldiers would go flying, losing limbs and things like that. That's in the Bible. This is World War I we're talking about. If you read verse 8, it says they had, well, verse 7 says they had crowns like gold and their faces were the faces of men. Well, because in World War I, you can actually see the man in the cockpit right there in the midst of that biplane, right? And they were wearing caps that were bronze or gold in color. And then they would have that scarf that would fly in the wind, which would give them the illusion of having long hair. And that's what verse 8 is talking about. And then they would go on to decorate the front of their planes with teeth. And then eventually what John the Revelator saw was World War I planes decorated with teeth and, you know, having like different stuff painted on them and having armaments on them and using machine guns to shoot from the top over the top of it, Foster mounting and things like that. That's a whole different class. I did an entire class on this, I don't know how long ago, that goes into great detail on Revelation chapter 9. But I bring up the whole the Metallica thing, and I bring up the whole everything that we brought up to show you the spirit that's in these dukes that come from Esau, where they live by the sword and they die by the sword, and they admit all the time who they are. It's what sucks is our people get caught up in that lifestyle and want to be like them, and then we end up going through some of the things that they go through when we don't have to. You know, it's not in our spirit to go and you know what I'm saying, steal and kill and do all that. But when our people do that, we're immediately punished for it. They do that and they suffer for it as too, not because it's the law, but because the Most High ordained for things like that to happen. If you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you lead people into captivity, you're going to end up in captivity. You understand? This is just the way the Most High has the whole world working. And so the sooner that they recognize that that's them, the sooner that they can understand what their fate is and accept it rather than trying to fight against us. What's up?
No, I was going to say, you got to really think about it, because, like, how would you explain this if you never saw this in the first place? Like, if you was put into a dream and you saw this, how would you explain this? Because if you never saw it, like,
this was written thousands of years before it actually happened. So imagine if you saw, you know, weapons of war thousands of years ago. John the Revelator, he described it as locusts because the biplanes look like a locust. When you think about it, locust has two sets of wings, right? Right. If you look at a locust, it's got 4 wings. It doesn't just have 2 wings; it has 4. Yeah, because when you see it flying, you got the upper and the lower, right? And that's exactly what a biplane looks like. And then the engine, eventually they used bombers, and the bombers had to carry a lot of weight, and so they ended up using 2 engines, 1 on each side, or sometimes even up to 4 engines, right? And it eventually, by the time World War II came around, they found a way to go from propellers to then jets and things like that. It was the Germans that invented the jet engine, right? They had the first jets. But that's a whole different topic. I'm bringing that up just to show y'all that. I'm also going to show y'all this again, because we were talking about lyrics that from Metallica, which is crazy that we're bringing that up during the Sabbath service. But we're talking, like, if our actual class is about Esau, I want you to see who Esau is in today's time, because it's the exact same. It's the same being. It's the same person. Let me see. Okay, so this is another song from Metallica. I'm gonna be real brief on this. This is a song called Sad But True. And again, this is why this band is so popular, especially amongst white people, because it is them with the spirit of Esau being exactly who they were meant to be, right? It's almost like some men among Esau are considered the dukes even in today's time because they're the ones that become the leadership of their people. And even within the entertainment industry, whether it be wrestling, whether it be, movies, whether it be music, whether it be military, that a lot of them end up moving up in their society, like, for example, Donald Trump, right? Who was a duke in his own right because he was the one that had success in the business venture. He ended up becoming the president. Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of the most popular movie characters, from the 80s, known to be a bodybuilder. He ends up being the governor of California. I even have, I'll bring this up later. I want you to read these lyrics here. This is a song called Sad But True from Metallica. Again, as a part of my research, just understanding their spirit. Read that right there. Okay. I screenshotted it. Go ahead.
You're my mask.
You're my mask.
You're my covering.
Uh-huh.
My shelter.
Uh-huh.
You're my mask. You're the one who's blamed.
So this song is Esau's spirit talking to his body. It says, you're my mask. You do the things that I tell you to do. You're the one that gets blamed for the things that I make you do. Go ahead.
Do my work.
What says what?
Do my work.
Uh-huh.
Do my dirty work.
Uh-huh.
Scapegoat?
Scapegoat. Do my dirty work, scapegoat. That's what Esau's saying in the song.
Oh.
So why is he saying that? Why would you make a song like that? Where it's like your spirit telling you to do evil things, and then you're like, you know what I'm saying? And everybody's cheering you on as you're saying like some of the most demonic things possible. This is the demon this is Esau's spirit, which is by innately a demon, right? That's why he's saying, do my dirty work, and your body is the one that gets blamed for what I make you do. Your body is the scapegoat for me, which is the spirit that's in you. Keep going.
Do my deeds.
Uh-huh.
For you're the one who's shamed.
See? Keep going.
I'm your dream. Make you real. I'm your eyes when you must steal.
There it is. I mean, what does Esau do? He steals, he kills. You understand? Keep going.
I'm your pain when you can't feel.
Uh-huh.
Sad but true.
Keep going.
I'm your dream. Mine astray.
There's more to it. There's a specific part I want you to see. This last part. This last paragraph. This is how the song ends. I want to skip to the ending of the song because this is when he's talking about again that same spirit. Keep going.
I'm your truth, telling lies.
That's what Esau does. He's the one that's convinced that he's telling the truth when he's the one that's telling a lie, right? Like Jesus being white, like the Jews being the Jewish people being the Israelites, like like that's the spirit that's in them. To when we start to show them the truth, they're like, what? There's no way, because this is what we were all taught when we were young. Well, that's because the spirit that's in them is their truth telling lies. You understand that? Keep going.
I'm your reason. Alibi.
Oh. Alibi is what people use to get out of jail. They use that in the courtroom so that they can get away scot-free. And that's exactly what this spirit is telling Esau in this song. And when he wrote this song and he sang it, people absorbed it. People flocked to it. They became the most popular rock band in all of history. Now read that last part.
I'm inside. Open your eyes. I'm you.
I'm what?
I'm you.
That's Esau. I'm you. So the spirit that's telling them to do all the evil things is ultimately them. But they're like, that's how you know that the spirit is in our body, right? For them to make a song like that, that's a very spiritual song that they made, though it's demonic. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what's in the same mindset of these dukes that are out here, you know what I'm saying, taking over that part of that world, taking over Mount Seir. You see what I'm saying? That's heavy though, because that's what rock music has always been. It's always been them admitting that they're demonic. And some of our people, they like that. For some reason, they attach themselves to that. But I don't. I listen. If I ever hear it, it's because I'm listening to see what's on their mind, and that's exactly what I saw when I read that. Is that one? They're the ones that wish they were dead during World War I, and then he makes a song about it. It becomes one of the most popular songs of all time amongst themselves. And then he makes a song about their spirits controlling them to do evil, and that they like hearing that kind of stuff because that's real to them. But I digress. I'm gonna go back. Let's go back to the scriptures now. Did you already finish verse 21 in Deuteronomy 36?
I think we did.
Go ahead.
In the last one with us?
Yeah.
Book of Genesis, chapter 36, verse 22. Wayahayawa. Banya. Lawatan.
Oh, you know what? We don't have time for that.
Oh.
Yeah, it's already 12:41. We're gonna pick up on this. Well, what are we on? Verse 22.
Yeah, verse 22.
All right. With that,
Can I get the highlighter?
It is.
No more. Verse 32, right? No, verse 21 to 22. No, verse 22. All right. Hey.
Mayim, Sar, which means to turn. Upanya Hakudam, which means to face the east.
Hold on.
Oh,
I gotta blow the horn though too.
Let me cover up the scroll real quick. All right, now with that, Sar, which means to turn. Upanya Hakudam, which means to face the east. Now we're going to finish with the Lord's Prayer in ancient Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwaka, Taba'ah, Batazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashemayim, Bathalanawa, Bakum, Kal, Yawam, Basalakanawa, Kabawatnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawatinawa, Wala'ah, Tabi'ai Banasayawan, Abo, Hawashai Mayan, Right, Hayat, Laka, Amalakwa, Waha'ala, Watafara, La'iwalamya, Aman. Now what we said was, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it. All right, with that, Sar. Now what we're going to do is we're going to salute the scroll. Hey, let me know when it's up. Is it straight? Yeah. All right, go ahead and bring it back.
A little more to the left or to the right. There we go. Perfect.
Just want to sit it down. All right, now what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and blow the horn. So now what we're going to do is we're going to give one courtesy salute to all the brothers. Sisters, you can go ahead and have a seat. All right. Individual, Amadim Shabbat. Amadim, Barak. Yahabah Shem Yahshua Barakathon. Yajin Matah. Sar, turn and face the sisters. Sisters, go ahead and stand up. All right. We're going to give the sister one courtesy salute. Individual, Amadim Shabbat. Amadim, Barak. Yahabah Shema Alatah Shem Yahshua. Yajin Matah. Dismissed.